Good evening, everybody who has come to this channel today evening on Sunday evening, 27th of June 2021. All of you are esteemed guests who are there present with us today, who are going to attend this webinar. We are going to speak on a very, very important topic as regards to parenting. So every month we are giving two programs live on this channel. One is for the students, which are the teenage students of this country, which we call as Parivartan program. And once in a month, we are also going live like today for a program for the parents, who are parenting their teenagers, those whose children are from the age group of 10 to 20, 10 to 24 or 25. So youngsters, we all know that it's a very difficult age to when we are in that teenager, when we are in adolescence, and when we are just young adults. And especially parenting or the parents' role at that time is very, very critical and very important. And therefore, in order to add wisdom to of parenting, we are actually doing this monthly once program. And today we have a esteemed guest with us, Prashanti madam. I'll just add her. So let's welcome Prashanti madam, who is there with us today, and we are very, very grateful and happy that she has actually given us her presence. I'll just give her a small introduction for her. So, madam is a mother of two daughters, and today she is actually going to give us wisdom of the important things required for a parent. From her own experience, she will bring it out of a parent required, especially to grow a child with a wholesome success, and specifically in this kind of crisis times as we are going through. She's 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 completed her BA from Saint Francis Degree College in Hyderabad, and there she had got 3 gold medals in economics and public administration. Later, she also did her MA in political science and MPhil in international relations from Central University of Hyderabad. There also she was awarded university gold medals for both of these courses. And then later on, of course, Madam, she joined the state civil services after passing group 1 and worked as assistant director, deputy director, and later joint director in social welfare department. So actually, Madam has been holding very important positions in our nation and helping the social service and development of different sections. And especially, she was conferred with I.A.S 2009 badge and worked in various capacities, including MD of Women Finance Corporation, MD of Telangana Foods, Director of Disabled Welfare, Joint Collector of Hyderabad District, District Collector of Nirmal District, and she also lectured to national and international audiences, overseen the creation of apps and portals to help small farmers. So see, her work has been recognized by the government on various occasions. Presently, she is working as Joint Secretary in the Department of Environment, Forest, Science and Technology. And just previous to this position, she was a Director of Indian Institute of Health and Family Welfare and Ayush before handling the present position she's actually holding. So I believe she has a lot of experience and also the wisdom of parenting. So adding together, I think all of us are going to have a feast of learning great wisdom. Let's welcome Madam to this program. And Madam, the stage is going to go to you. Thank you very much. Yes, Madam. You can please kindly enlighten. We are very, very, very thankful to you to come today. Yes.
Thank you for that generous introduction, Mr. Amaldas. So before I start, I'd like to wish a very good evening to all the netizens who will be seeing the program. And a big thanks to the organizers, the Arjuna Group, and especially Mr. Amaldas for choosing this topic, which says growing your teens during crisis times. I think that's a very crucial topic in today's times. We are all aware of the teens. We call them the terrible teens, in fact, because suddenly, very compliant children suddenly become rebellious and they don't really listen to you. And we have a tough time as parents because there are a lot of ups and downs, roller coaster during the teens time. So it's a crisis-ridden time. And that's also the time when they have, unfettered freedom. So they feel they can do anything in the world. And they have a lot of creativity too. So those are the unfettered times. And during this crisis-ridden times, if you have an additional crisis of, this COVID crisis thrust upon them, I think if you're not careful, this whole thing will go towards a big bang. So that's what I feel. So something like this, a discussion for parents on how to try and overcome this crisis is very important. So it's a very good initiative from Mr. Amal Das for and inviting me also to talk whatever little knowledge I have on the subject. I would like to share with you. I, of course, have two beautiful daughters who have recently passed their teens, and so I would like to share some of my experiences with them. And as you all know, it's a big roller coaster, ups and downs with teens. And of course, I also went through those tough times with my two daughters. There are our daughters usually don't want to listen to what we say immediately. There are ways of dealing with them, which I eventually learned by trial and error, because we always want the best for our children. And I remember as soon as my daughters or children are born, we try to look up in some baby books to see, what is the best way to bring them up. Similarly, for instance, one a book by Dr. Spock I had read, I remember. So similarly, when during the teens, also I was looking out for some books where I could get some good guidance to help bring them up in the best possible way. But sadly, I think I couldn't find many books in this area, especially in the Indian context. So I think Mr. Amal Das is coming up with a book, so that will definitely be a big help to all of us parents. So as a parent, I remember that you tell them one thing, they're ready to do one thing. So for instance, their rooms are always in a mess. So when you say you clean them, they feel that you are nagging them all the time. So you daren't. So somewhere you have to have a truce with them. And then I remember I put on my foot and said that no, there should be no rotten food or nothing rotting, no remains of food on your beds in your room. So they agreed on that, and they gave me also a rule saying that you should not come and disturb the things in our room. So that's how we went on. And I remember that we try to ask them to eat what is good for them, and they are not ready to oblige. For instance, spinach, I would say eat spinach, and they would say no, we want chips. And then I remember I say carrot, then they'll say no, chaat. So I remember once I tried to make a carrot chat. That's a way of, trying to win them over with some carrot chat. But for a long time, they wouldn't look at charts after the carrot chat that I had made. So these are all the small things that we had gone through. I remember we were going for a wedding function and we wanted them to wear something traditional. So I said, wear a salwar or something, and they'll come up with a mini skirt. Or wear a long skirt, they'll come up with some shorts. And then I remember if you insist on a time, they're going for a party, so you come back by 10, and then you by till midnight they wouldn't come home. So these are the small things, some rebellion from them, and how to overcome them, how to talk it over with them, because we are told that you should take a middle. We should also compromise a little, and they should also compromise a little, and then we should try to understand their problems. They understand our problems. So that is the way of striking the middle path, and trying to get things done. So those are some of the things that we used to do as with our children, I remember. So that is the experience. And it is not so easy as we are told counseling is good, you sit and talk to them. It is not so easy to have your child sit and talk to you and listen to them, because at that time they have peer pressure and they have their own role model. So it's not as easy as the books say, and it's not as easy as we think it is. Sometimes there is a tough battle, but in the end I think we did reach some kind of a compromise. And then it was a beautiful journey bringing up my teens. And when you talk about teens also, that is the time when they make very important career choices, because they are on the threshold of their intermediate course, and they would love to go for some course which probably they like. So striking a balance there is also very, very I think it's a very delicate situation, if you ask me, because uh, the accusation against parents is that we force them to go for courses which are socially accredited, because we feel because of our social status we want our children to take a particular course. And sometimes the child may choose a course which is not practicable, or they may not be very good at it, or it may not have good career options, and it may not earn them any money. So as a mother, we would like, as a parent, we want to see them settle with a good job in future, something that they will also have a social status later in life. So that's a very delicate thing. And here, what I have found out is, the best thing to do is give them informed choices, give them all the information that is available about a career, so that they are in a position to take a good rational choice. So that is what I feel about career options. So closely related to career is also your academic situation. For instance, the academic qualifications matter. So we try to, see whether the child gets good marks and all. Here, of course, my husband and I always had an understanding that we would never put pressure on our children for good marks, and we have followed that throughout our the career and the school life or the college life of our children. We never put any pressure on them for any kind of thing, because our motto was, you do your best, whatever happens, what will happen, so you always give your best. Because even though there are no, we didn't have any full-fledged book to guide us, we of course do hear bits and pieces, when you read articles, when you see discussion on TV, that a few things are not good for the psychology of the child. For instance, comparing with others, or you tell them, force a decision. So that kind of thing, we try to avoid putting too much pressure, or trying to compare with. We were totally against that, and I think that helped. They were able to blossom in their own areas that they wanted, and even now they have good hobbies and passions, and what they would like to follow their careers. They are free to do so. So that much freedom we have given, but it should be informed. It should be practicable. Like Mr. Amal Das also was telling me in one of his discussions, the career option should be such that it is practicable. So that's an important thing. And of course, we have heard of many situations where, the parent is after marks, and also once a child doesn't do well, they even use corporal punishment, or they put so much stress on the child. In fact, I know of a situation where the child, where the teenager had run away from home, and another child who became very aggressive and who didn't want to, in fact he left studies after that, because he couldn't take the pressure. And of course, all of us have heard of teenage suicides that have come because of the stress in that the parents probably put, or maybe it's also society. So all this something that one should avoid, and I was able to avoid. So talking from the point of view of academic qualification, I think one should give them the choice, but it should be informed choice. Give them all the information that is available in the area, so that they're able to make a good choice. Because as I was saying, it's very important to not suppress their creativity, not put too much fear on them. And so one good one policy that we used to follow as parents was a carrot and stick policy. So that is, you praise them, or you give them, you say that, okay, you do this well, I'll take you for a movie, or I'll buy you a new dress if you come first in class. These were some of the things that we followed as parents. But today, when I read some, the latest concepts on bringing up teenagers, I feel even this is not the right policy also. So had we known that then, I think we would not have followed that much. Because when you use the carrot and stick policy, the student becomes, attuned to a reward oriented kind of a situation. Always they expect something. I do that, what do I get from it? So that kind of a situation may arise. And also, if you punish them, they fear that. So fear for punishment also probably arises. So, and fear, as you know, fear always suppresses your creativity, and your best talents can never come out if you're afraid. So now it is told that, unconditional love is something that you should give to your children. So had I known that day, we would have done it. Because I think as parents, we may not have been as demonstrative about our love for them, and didn't display it so much then, because we thought maybe it would spoil them. But today we are told that no, unconditional love is the best thing, because the child knows you are there for the child, and that's how the child performs better. So that is something I would have done had I known more, had I got the literature on, bringing up children in the right way during that time. But now when I read Mr. Amal Das's book, that is, I think, in the grapevine, it will be soon coming up. He's writing a wonderful book on parenting. So that is where some very valuable concepts that the parents have should have are coming up in the book, and I think it will be a very useful guide to us, because when we have children, we want the best for them. We try to buy the best clothes for them. We try to put them in the best school. We want to see all the best for them. Then why should we not have the best attitude towards them? Why should we not use the best policy so that they are, better human beings in the future? And that is much, much more important than these materialistic things that we want to give them. So having a best attitude, so reading up all this so that we are, we are conditioned, so that we are prepared for bringing up a child in the right way is extremely important. Because as I just discussed, we know about suicides, we know about children who have become very aggressive. All that, much of that could be because of the wrong attitude that a parent may have adopted. But that is not always so. Pretty often, actually, the parent probably has done a wonderful job, and still, the child has probably not been able to do well in society, or has become a social deviant. There are such cases too. And I have seen cases like that where the parent carries his guilt. I have brought up this child, now my child has become this, I am to be faulted for this, and he carries that guilt with him. So there also, I would like to advise parents, there's no need to, you do your best, and then there's nothing that we can do. There's nothing like a perfect child, or there's nothing like a perfect parent. And even the most you do, sometimes there are deviants. So we should do our best, and then let God take over, and the child will definitely, I think, will give back his best to society. But the latest concepts that are coming is something that we should familiarize with. And I think this is missing in our society. We read so many other books, we read about careers, we read about so many things, but this very important aspect where you should know how to bring up your child in the right way is something that is not usually talked about so much, not such books available. So this is missing. In fact, an individual is going to come into the world tomorrow based on how you mold him. So isn't it so important to mold him in the right way? And if somebody has done research in the area and they're coming up with some good concepts, which are tested concepts, time tested concepts, and why should we not know about them? Why should we not adopt them? Why should we do something wrong and tomorrow he carries that as a baggage and then goes along in life, and probably that will stop his progress later. So it's a good lesson knowing about how to bring up children. It is in fact extremely important. As a parent, I think one has to do it. It should become a regular curriculum. In fact, parenting and all should be a part of your curriculum probably later in college, because you are going to be responsible for the future citizens of the country. And when we talk about the country, because I am a government servant and a public servant, one more small issue that I would like to touch upon is that I feel that many of our children these days, especially in the middle class and the higher classes and upper classes, what happens is that there is only one or two children in the house, and they're pampered a lot. They never have to look for anything, because they always get it right there whenever they ask. They don't even have to ask, it comes to them. So this kind of pampering has made them unaware about the others, the lower classes, the lower income groups, and those who lack something. For instance, one small example is I happened to visit a social welfare hostel where the children live in the hostel and all, and they treasure a small thing that you give them. For instance, a pencil and an eraser that they use it for months together. One small boy who was a topper in his class, he was using a small eraser which had totally, it was gone. It was a small piece of eraser that was using carefully, had kept it. He was in class 2, I think. But when I go to back to my house, I'd seen that my children, it was a half used eraser and it goes into the dustbin. So they have not, some of them don't have the value, don't know the value of these, some of these materialistic things, because they're not exposed. So I remember taking them for a small tour of these hostels, so that they get exposure. I think this is very important. We should give them exposure to all sections of society. They must be aware of what is happening outside, because that increases their scope, their way of looking at things and understanding things, which forms their way of thinking for the future. So as a parent, I think we should also expose them to such things. My last piece of advice is that please never feel guilty. I think you have done best what you could do. Always you wish the best for your children, but please let us learn how to do. But there is no need to carry any guilt in us that that we have failed as parents. We have definitely we give the best, and we can't help it if some of them don't turn out as good, but we still have to give our best. And once more, I'd like to thank Mr. Amal Das. I think his book on parenting is extremely useful, and I found it very useful. And I think in future also the generations who will be reading it will definitely find it useful. It's full of a lot of concepts, the latest concepts. And what is best is that he has placed it in the context of the Indian ethos, the cultural ethos of India, because there are books and books. Probably talking more about the Western society, but a book which is placed within the cultural ethos of India. For instance, he talks about the Vedas in it. He talks about, for instance, we have a few things like we respect our elderly, we look after our elderly, we care for them. This is not so much there in the Western context. So a book in the Indian context will be very useful. So I really thank you all for it. Thank you again. So I request Mr. Ramaldas to take over and proceed with the discussion today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really a beautiful piece of advice which actually you shared, especially from your own personal experience. And I think all of us would be very much wanting to learn from that. The several incidences which you were sharing, especially the one of the most important things I think you said was that we as parents, we are wanting to give the best in every field, like best of the clothes, best of the schools, best of the books. Then why not best of the attitude? I mean, that's I think the most punching thing. And you talked about that even the parents also probably have to, as they say, like as the changing time, we have to change our, as you said, policies, or change our the way we will actually raise the children. Especially you talked about the carrot and stick theory or policy, which was very common probably when we were grown by our parents, but probably that's not the best. And when we have come to know, so there is a need of change. And the last point which I also learned very nicely was that these kind of things probably can also be included in the some sort of a syllabus itself, like how to parent. That was really a wonderful point. I am very grateful to you, ma'am. All of us, those who have heard from you, have immensely benefited. And the especially the I think the icing on the cake would be that we have done our best, and we should continue to do our best, but should not feel the guilt. I think that's the icing of the cake. Thank you, ma'am. So I think
Thank
let's continue the program further. Yes. Thank you. So that was the beautiful piece of advice, I would say, which Madam has given to us, and it was really amazing. Now we will continue this program ahead, as I just now revised the few points which she has been sharing, is specific to what is the right parenting attitude and what should we do during the pandemic time. Like this time is a crisis time. If you all we all know that it is more than a year that the COVID pandemic is lasting in this country. And of course, we know that although the vaccination drive is going on and we hope that we will be soon out of this pandemic, yet it has created a deep impact. And as far as my research and study says, that the impact of this COVID will not be ending merely by vaccinating everybody and then lifting of the mask and lifting of the social distancing norms, etc. The effect of the pandemic will, it is said, it is predicted that it will continue on a different level. Right now all of us have become physically constrained. हम सब लोग physically constrained हो चुके हैं, हम लोग बाहर नहीं जा पा रहे हैं. The children are not able to go to the school also. सारा commutation वगैरह सब बंद हो गया है, transportation वगैरह में problem होता है, right? So this is the immediate effect which this pandemic is giving to us. But I also want to tell you that it is being predicted that after this pandemic is going to get over, which might take us say 6 to 8 months, as government is trying their best to do the vaccination, and we are seeing that especially from 21st of June, it is really going very fast. But still, even if we vaccinate, even if we lift off the norms, the social distancing norms, etc., still the effect on the emotional plane, the effect on the mental plane, it's going to continue for much longer. And I think today's program, we want the parents to know it completely, and we want the parents to, for the next 2 to 3 years, what we are talking today probably will be helpful for you for the next 2 to 3 years at least. Of course, the principles which we are discussing are always going to remain valid, but the specific principle is most important in the next 2 to 3 years. So if you are a parent who is having a child between the age group of 10 to 25, I believe this is the time now you please pay your full attention. As we already heard from madam, we have learned a lot, and I'll continue further speaking to you specifically in this pandemic time now. What is it that a parent can do? We may have to bring out some changes in ourselves. As parents during this pandemic, we definitely need to bring in some changes in ourselves so that we can best raise our children. Otherwise, the impact is going to be very troublesome for them, probably for the next decade. So, of course, none of us want that. As madam was always telling, that parents always want to give their best, and especially in India. Just to start with a small, humor. So there was one a person who was in London. And of course, nothing to say about the Western, they also have their own ways of parenting, etc. But Indian parenting is so special that this is a small humor on that, that so this man, he was raised up in the family, etc. But he couldn't get that bonding. So of course, in the West, usually when you come to the 15, 16, 17, 18 years of age, so people move out of their home and then they start living separately. In India, we don't do that. That's really very good system here. The bonding is so deep that the child still stays with the family and wants to continue reciprocating. But in the West, it's different. So this boy, this child, he became a man later on after, let's say, he was around 25, 30 years of age, and he was really missing this parental affection. So he heard a lot about India. India is so great and parenting is so wonderful, but he never experienced that wonderful, parenting. So somebody, he got an idea that, okay, I've earned so much of money at the age of 30, 35. I have earned a good amount of money. Let me go to India and see what is this love of, mother, what is this love of father? Because probably I can experience here only. He came to India and then he was going, he saw here that the parents, oh my God, how much attention they pay on the child. The mother, especially for the newborn, how much love, how much sacrifice, how much care goes in bringing up the child. And then, he was like, he was around, he went to a village and he said, can somebody become my mother? I will give you money every month, 50,000 rupees. Please give me the mother's love, So that was the, state of affairs. When people come from the Western background, they have to probably learn the sacrifice, the greatness, the beauty, the joy of selfless love which Indian parents are actually giving. So if we Indian parents can do so much for our children, why not learn a little more? So please kindly give your attention. I'm going to upload my slide here. I'm going to just share it very quickly. Give me just a few seconds. We have prepared beautiful slides for you, and we are going to, so that you can have an audio visual experience, not just hear me, but also see certain things also. So I'll just share it with you right on the screen in a few seconds. Give me a second. Yeah. So we are here. Yeah. Let's share this. Yeah. Let's share the screen. So we are on the stream here. Yeah, just give me a second. I'm back here. I'll just share this screen. Yeah, I'm sharing it with you. So hopefully you're able to see this now. Yes, I think you're able to see this. Yeah. So this is the slide which I'll be going to take you through. Raising teenagers in crisis times. Yeah, raising teenagers in the crisis times. Uh, of course, this slideshow will be used, but majorly I will be talking to you like this. So basically, in this pandemic time, I was going through while I was preparing for this today's discussion. I was wanting to see what exactly has happened, as an impact of this pandemic on the emotional and mental plane. So I want to show you on the screen here the certain reports which I have seen, mm, which have come. So this is what the present reports actually are talking about. So it says that this is from the newspaper, straight from the newspaper. It says that the effect of pandemic on the youngsters is, according to ILO, International Labour Organization, what do they say? It says 50% of youth subjected to depression or anxiety due to COVID lockdown, finds ILO survey. I mean, 50% means 1 out of 2, which means, dear parents, what I want to tell you is this is a time which is very different from the earlier times. And parenting definitely needs a little bit of change right now, right? And the second, you can see here statistics which says that the report which says COVID-19 outbreak has been draining young India's mental health capital. In fact, in this news article, it says that approximately 62% of Indian teenagers and youngsters, young adults, are going through some or other mental challenges. Now, dear parents, our India is trying to develop itself in various ways, and it's really wonderful. It's really very good. But I also want to tell you that as far as recognizing the importance of mental well-being, and as far as giving aid and tools for the proper mental and emotional development of children, I think we are lagging far behind. Yes, due to our Indian culture, due to our Vedic culture, if we follow that culture, the emotional care, the mental care already happens. But what's happening is, on one hand, we Indians are sort of westernizing ourselves, sort of going away from our own culture, from our own Vedic culture on one hand, and on other hand, India has not yet developed its tools and aids, or upgrading people to help them provide mental and emotional care to people. So that's a double problem. That's a serious problem. We go away from our culture, which was giving us this emotional and mental care already inbuilt, so we don't have that anymore, and we have not yet provided the tools specifically for emotional and mental care. So what happens now? We are in kind of a we are living in a place where many of our children are living in emotional void, and that's a big problem. And we definitely want to address that today in our program. Let's continue on the slide. So therefore it says, I'll share you with you today, in this pandemic time, from August of 2020 till now, we have been interacting with thousands and thousands of youngsters, your children, in various organizations all across India, east, west, north, and south. And I'll share my experience of meeting them. I've been asking them, so what are the problems do you face? This is one of the common questions which I've been asking them. And let me share you on the screen the responses, the feelings of the people. Of course, there are challenges. You all know that they are not able to go to school, they are not able to meet their friends, they are unable to play the games they want, they're unable to have a social life, proper social life, right? They are not able to study their subjects. This is all there, that's true. But these are what we watch, what we view. Ye hame dikhta hai, we are able to see that, right? We are able to see that our children are complaining that their eyes are paining, their head is paining because of the continuously sitting in front of the laptop or the screens. They are complaining that they're unable to understand the subjects. Also the cancellation of the board exams, the postponing of the JEE, NEET, and other entrance exams. It's all creating that kind of issue. They're bringing us that issues. But let me also tell you what probably they may not be able to speak from their mouth. So you all know, all of you parents, all of us parents, we already know this, the problems which they're facing on the physical front. But probably we may not be aware what's happening on the emotional and mental front. So I want to tell you this on my slides, that what has been the emotional state of the teenagers during this pandemic, right? So let's see. If you want to write down, if you're using you're on the YouTube, if you want to type down, you can tell us. You can think. I want you to think about what do you think is the emotional state of affair of the teenagers at present. You can type few words. I'm able to see your, if you type, I will also be able to see. But let me start with something. One of the common things you should know, dear parents, is the stress. Of course, you may also be under stress, isn't it? I mean, many of you will also be under stress, maybe due to your children. Because I mean, many husbands are complaining, many fathers are complaining that their children are around, the wife is around, and they are unable to focus on the work properly. Yes, so even you are under stress. There is no boundary between work and home now. Work from home is good, but for how long? So for few people, when they have a huge house, big house, etc., they have a facility of dedicating one full room for that. Even then, there are problems because children can come in anytime. But what about those who are living in 1 BHK, 2 BHK with 2 kids? So then you cannot dedicate a huge amount of space for your work. So work from home has brought its own challenges also, right? So stress, of course, everybody probably is under stress. And please, I want to tell you that our children are under great amount of stress. So yeah, anybody would like to type? If you type it, we can also read it. So anxiety, children are under anxiety. They're in anxiety about what's going to happen. What's my future? I'm not able to study anything. I have lost 1 year or 2 years. What will happen to me? Whether will I get a job or not? What am I studying is going to be remaining relevant or not? Seems like everything is changing very quickly now. Lot of anxiety. Youngsters have a lot of anxiety. Yeah. So some people are talking about depression. Yeah. So there is anger or frustration. Sometimes children have a lot of anger or frustration. If your children are unable to cooperate with you during this pandemic time, please have some empathy towards them. They are also going through a lot of challenges. I know that you are also going through a lot of challenges. But we as parents definitely have to come to the terms of that we need to actually develop certain skills to deal with this situation. That's what we are learning today. So therefore, there is anger or frustration. Some people are really very angry on this whole system. What's happening? Why is it happening like this? And many people are feeling lonely. They're feeling depressed, sadness, worry, unsteadiness, panic, right? And fear. And unfortunately, we already know that teenage is not a time when our children are able to exhibit maturity in their behavior. As madam said that already the teenage is like a roller coaster age, time when there is so much of emotional troubles. And added to that emotional roller coaster is the environment filled with these emotions. So if there is rain outside, there is high possibility that anybody goes out can get wet. Yes, because it's raining. Similarly, my dear parents, if this is the emotional environment which we are seeing on the screen, if this is what the emotional environment is, this is the emotional weather of India, this is the emotional weather of the world at present, then it's highly likely that our children, young children, teenagers, young adults might be going through this, some of this also. Even because the weather is like that, as I said, that if there is rain, then you probably need an umbrella now. Similarly, because of this emotional weather which is there at present, we parents will have to give them an umbrella. And that umbrella, I call it as resilience, the ability to handle crisis. This is an umbrella to not get wet in this emotional, the negative emotions, rain of negative emotions. So imagine there is rain of loneliness, rain of depression, rain of sadness, rain of, what all is written over here, stress, anxiety, anger, frustration. How are we going to protect our young teenagers and young adults? We will have to provide them an umbrella, and that umbrella I am talking, that protection, is called as resilience. In this program further, I am going to tell you how a parent can help develop this resilience in their child. What is the meaning of resilience? If this word is unknown to you, the resilience simply means ability to handle failures, frustrations, difficulties, troubles, crisis, etc. To be flexible during that time, to be able to handle that and overcome from that, as well as perform better even during this difficult times. That's called as resilience. And I think this is one thing, my dear parents, we definitely want our children to develop. If you are with me, if you feel like yes, this skill is so critical and so valuable, please type something and tell me on the if you're on our YouTube channel, you please tell us whether it is very important. If you're watching this video later on, please tell us in the comment box how much important do you feel is to develop resilience for our children. How much important it is for us the parents, to help our children develop this resilience. Please let me know on the chat box, either right now here on the YouTube, or if when this video gets published later on after that. So let me continue further. Hmm. So we have, but there is one thing, are we really preparing our children to face this kind of situations? On my screen, I want to tell you my observation, and I think this is probably observation of all of us. The problem with this, with our present system of education, parenting, teaching, etc., is that we teach a lot of subjects to our children. I mean, many parents approach me, sir, which books are best? How should my child enter into IIT? Tell me, you are from IIT, you are holding an NGO which is running for student welfare. Please teach our children how can they go to IIT? Maths कैसे सीखना है? Physics के लिए कौन सा book? कौन सा teacher अच्छा है? कौन सा coaching अच्छा है? कौन सा school अच्छा है? कौन सा college अच्छा है? क्या career अच्छा है? So we talk so much about maths, science, computers, coding, career, engineering, medical. And of course, we should talk about this. But when do we get the opportunity to teach our children life skills or values? If our children today are facing so many emotional troubles, shall we not say it is also because we haven't ever taught them how to handle such situations? I mean, do you feel that any school, any college, anywhere in any syllabus and curriculum, are our children learning these life skills? What is the meaning of a life skill? Life skills are those the value system or the attitude which is necessary to deal with the situations which come in life. So for a young student, for example, concentration is a life skill. Time management is a life skill. Similarly, resilience or how to face the crisis situations is also a life skill, right? And it is so critical. If he or she does not know it, we all know that it's going to land up into problem. Now, previous to pandemic, we were not observing these problems due to the lack of life skills at a very big level. It was already existing. देखो ये सब problems पहले भी था. These problems were already existing. These emotional problems are not new things for the teenagers to face. There were many of the teenagers were still not able to handle. लेकिन problem इतना बड़ा नहीं दिख रहा था. This problem was not shown. It was not visible to our eye. It was underneath, under the carpet of the struggle for marks and struggle for grades and career and this and that. तो ये सरफेस पे आता नहीं था. हमें लगता था कि somebody is becoming depressed is because he has not got good marks. But actually, it is not that everybody who has got good less marks is supposed to become depressed. No, we need to have life skill of how to face failures. It's a life skill, and that needs to be taught to children. So I want to ask you, my dear parents, and you can please leave a comment. You can tell us on the YouTube chat box, or you can leave a comment afterwards on this video. Do you also feel that our current education system and also our parenting is not preparing our children for the real life situations? Yes, we give them a lot of exams, we give them a lot of tests, we teach a lot of computers, a lot of electronics and physics and medical and law and so many fields. But are we preparing our children to face the real life situations, life skills, the right attitude, the right value system? Are we really helping them? So on one hand, these schools are also not doing that. And on the other hand, as the India is becoming more and more westernized, even the parents feel that that may not be necessary. That is not happening. It's not happening in a regular home. Think about your own situation. Did you really prepare your child to receive the proper life skill, attitude, and values? Think about that. That when do we start doing it? Do we do it consciously? Do we need to spend time for that? Today's program is dedicated for this particular reason, that we want to impress upon you that your role in the life of a teenager is not just about giving them clothes, giving them college, giving them access to company, and then marriage, and then of course the property, etc. Definitely you need to do that, and definitely Indians are very much doing these things. Actually, they are really wanting to do this wonderfully. But I believe the first and foremost responsibility of a parent is to teach the children values, life skills and attitude. और इसीलिए शायद पेरेंट्स को भी ये सीखने की बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है. Even the parents need to learn this right life skills, attitude and values a lot. As Madam Prashanti Madam talked about, that many times we have got wrong notions and preconceived misconceptions in our life, and we probably impose them on our children. Like Madam talked about, that she and her husband never pushed their children for better marks or good marks. Whatever marks they're receiving, of course they're helping. They would be helping their children to do their best, but they are not going to compare the child with other and pressurize them. No, no, get more marks. IIT mein aana hi chahiye, ye karna hi chahiye, wo karna hi chahiye. Not pressure. So many a times, if we don't have ourselves the right life skills, values, and the attitudes, then it can land up into so much of problem. What to speak of preparing the child to face the life? So I believe this is very, very important. And if you agree with me, if you feel that yes, this is something which is critical, and we Indians, we're supposed to probably tell others the need about it and do something to fill this lacuna or the vacuum, which has come in our parenting, in our what we call education system, in the way we are leading the India. If you feel this is important, please kindly let us know. Probably we'll make more videos on that. We probably will come up with more discussions on that. Probably you can help us, frame certain things, in this direction. This was one reason that we are launching our book in the next month, in the July. This book, Parenting Teenagers for Wholesome Success, will be available for all of you. I feel this should be a must go-to book for every parent who wants to give their best to their teenage children or the young adults. All right. So now we'll go ahead and let's look at what my slides are supposed to telling further. I'll tell you at this point of time a story, but just before that, this is my conclusion. According to me, I say this, that we desperately need a balance between learning for earning and learning for living. We have been teaching a lot about learning for earning, but probably learning for life, for living our life itself, for facing the real life situations, probably we have not prepared our children properly. And this program can help you do so. In the next half an hour or so, 40 minutes or so, which we have a discussion further, you will learn a lot on how to prepare children for real life. So stay with us and learn about this very, very important, concept in parenting, specifically in the pandemic times. Yeah, let's go ahead. So basically, parenting during crisis, what does it need? I'll tell you here itself, and then this I will repeat in the next 40 minutes by various examples and stories and how to do. But let me tell you right now itself. Please watch this very, very important slide. What do we need in parenting during crisis? This crisis time, how do we handle the emotional and mental troubles which our children are going to go through or are already going through? So there are two things which you need to do, parents. Please see this. Number one, there has to be love, or let us say unconditional love. As Madam was talking, actually we have given a book for review to various people, various prominent personalities of India. So Madam is also one of the personalities who is reviewing our book and giving us suggestions on improving and also telling us how valuable it is. So she shared her experience with you. So unconditional love is very, very important during this time. And I'll give you examples of this, how to do in different situations, right? They are going to help you understand this better. What is it about? It is about accepting your teenage child as he or she is. Let's discuss about this in some time to come. There is second thing also which is very critical. I think if you were on this channel previously, you already have seen this. I talk about love along with wisdom. We need a lot of wisdom also, right? So wisdom means teaching the life skills, and resilience is the specific life skill required during this pandemic time, which I'm going to cover today, right? How to, so we need two things. One is we need the unconditional love, and we need the wisdom, specifically the wisdom of teaching the life skills, and the life skill of resilience is what is greatest important during to face this crisis, right? So we are going to talk about this. Stay with us on and share this video with more. If you have some your friends, etc., who you feel that they should be watching this program, invite them here. This is the right time for them to come and start watching this now, because the real fun is ahead. Let's see further. I'll start with a small story. This is a story of a king. This is a story of a king. Uh, Long ago, there was this king, and he was very kind-hearted. He was really someone who wanted to help his citizens, who was very empathic towards the citizens. He really wanted to give his best. He was not like one of those people who just come on the seat and simply gobble up all the money of the public. But this king was very kind, very responsible, very honest, very gentlemanly, and therefore, one of his hobbies was he would not just sit in the palace. Almost every day, or at least weekly, on a very regular basis, he would go around in the kingdom. He would go around and keep meeting various citizens and keep seeing how their situation is. So, and keep asking whether they're happy, whether they, is there anything which they require, how can he perform the best. He was very much a person of people, not sitting on the top, but actually down talking to the people whom he is leading, right? And one time he went for a long pilgrimage, and was for 1 month he was on his foot. He wanted to get this experience of walking to holy tirthas. India is a place. There is Varanasi, there is Mathura, then there is what do you call here, South Srirangam, Tirupati, Kedarnath, Badrinath. So many holy places are there. So he went around to it of a tour of few of the holy places, and for 1 month he was walking, different holy places. After 1 month of walk, he came back, and he had a great concern. He called for the ministers, and he said, I was walking for 1 month on my foot, and you know what? It is really painful. It was paining my leg so much. My leg was paining so much because of walking around on the different streets, right? And going to the different places. And I have got a deep realization in my heart. My heart is really paining for the citizens. If I, who was walking for 1 month, could get so much of pain in my leg, then what about the regular citizens? They're walking every day for long distances. So therefore, they must definitely be getting so much of pain in their legs, right? So then he said, I want you to do something. I want to mitigate their suffering. I want to help them come out of this problem of pain in the legs because of walking on the road. And I have got the idea what you should do. And all the ministers were like writing down, okay, what should we do? What is what we have to implement? The new policy which the king wants to implement. The king, he said, with great compassion and kindness, he said, I have decided all the roads of this country, of my kingdom, should be covered with thick carpet, so that anybody who walks on that will never get pain in his legs. And the ministers were like shocked. They said, what? They said, what? All the roads of the entire country, they should be covered with thick carpet? And they started discussing with each other. Like, they said, my God, do you know how much amount of money will it cost you to cover the thick carpet for all the roads? And you know how much manpower it's going to take, how much of labor, how much of effort, and on the top of it, it is not that the carpets are going to remain as it is. They're going to wither away. There are going to be rains. There is going to be storms. There are going to be so many things. उसमें छेद हो जाएगा. It will all get, it will not, after 2-3 months, the carpets will not remain there. Correct? They will get withered away, and again the pebbles and stones, etc., will be hurting the citizens. They said this is not practical. But what should we do? Our king is so concerned about helping the citizens. He's really bent upon this idea that their legs are hurting. There is stones. There is this and that problem. There are thorns, and now he wants to cover it up with the carpet. And then they all said that it is not possible. No, it is not something which we can do. But then how do we talk to the king? And then one among them, one of the ministers was very wise and intelligent. He said that, yes, actually, there is an idea, there is a solution by which the king's desire of giving comfort to the citizens can be fulfilled along with doing it in a practical way, which is possible for to be achieved. So he got the idea and he came to the king. You see on the slides as I show you. So he came to the king and he said, "My dear king, instead of carpeting all the roads, why don't you give the shoes to everybody?" I mean, it is so difficult to carpet all the roads. You can do that. And as we know, that it's not going to last for a long time. The carpet on the roads is not going to last for a long time. So he said, better, why don't you make a nice pair of shoes and you also wear it and you give it to everybody. The nice pair of shoes will help them to avoid the pain of walking on the roads. They will not, their legs will not be getting hurt by the stones and pebbles and thorns. And the king said, great, this is so amazing. You have got the right solution. Yes, let's implement it. And hence, therefore, the shoes, the culture of wearing shoes came. That's a quite an interesting thing. But my dear parents, I want to tell you some very important lesson through this. It has a lot of important parenting lesson. Just like this king, right, in the story, wanted to comfort his citizens. And it's his duty to do so. In the same manner, it's a duty of the parent to comfort his or her own child. The children should be definitely given comforts. अरे जिसको बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में नजरों पे बिठा के रखते हैं हम है ना अपने बच्चों को. We want to give them so much of love. We don't want to get them into so much of troubles, etc. Right? That is very true. But tell me, the solution, the first solution which the king was having, he was thinking that I will carpet the entire road. It is not possible. It is not practical. It is an impossible thing to do. In the same manner, if we think that I will raise my child in such a way, in so much of comforts, that I will shield, I will change the nature of this world for him. See, carpeting the road is equivalent to thinking that I will shield my child from all the problems of the world. How? By changing the nature of the world. Okay, there is difficulties in this world, but I will not let my child see any other emotion other than happiness. And if they are sad, immediately I will do something to make them happy. That's all. Correct? So I will always show there is positive, there is good, there is happiness. Huh? So then what will happen? My child will never go through problems. But the difficulty is that it's not going to be remaining like that. Sooner or later, they are going to see the realities of this world. In this world, there is duality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita clearly talks about this particular thing, that we should not expect in this world constant happiness, constant positivity, constant comforts, constant pleasures. If there is pleasure, there is also going to be pain. If there is happiness, there also is going to be sadness. If there is success, there is also going to be failure. And therefore we say, kabhi khushi, kabhi gum. Isn't it? ये तो लॉ है भैया. इसको ना मैं चेंज कर सकता हूं ना तुम चेंज कर सकते हो. None of us can change. So the solution of the king of carpeting all the roads is like changing the nature of this world. I will remove the dualities from this world. I will raise my child without seeing any duality. मगर ऐसा कर नहीं सकते. We cannot do that. And when we try to do that, our children do not know how to go through the realities. And this is a really important life skill. This is a very important life skill. I read this story of one Jason, So he's of course, he's the owner of some business. He's around 45, 46 years old, around approximately like that, around 50 years old. This man has 3 kids and a beautiful family and wonderful successes he has got. And he was sharing his experience out of his 3 kids. I think it's around 2 years ago. One of the kids, unfortunately, such a sad event, and we have to learn from that. Such a sad event. Unfortunately, his youngest son, who was around 8 or 9 or 10 years old, he committed suicide. And then he was in so much of difficulty, he was in so much of pain. But then he was not knowing what happened suddenly. Why did my son do so? He was searching around. Did he write some note for me? Did he say something to me? Did I not do something for him? What exactly happened? And then he was searching across, and he found in one of the drawers. He opened the drawers, and there were two notes on that. There was no notebook in which he wrote any note, but there was a sticky pad. Two sticky pads were attached on the drawer, inside the drawer. One of the sticky pads was about the passwords. Of course, this net password or this password or something, you have to connect to the internet. That passwords were there. But the second note shocked him from inside. And the second note was, tell my story. And this made this person, he goes around and gives a lot of programs. And he says, I am on a mission to remove teen suicide by year 2030. I want to share a few lessons from his story. It was really heart touching for me. He says something. He says that one of the biggest mistake which I did in my parenting was this, as I said sometime before, shielding my children from all the dualities of this world. I always try to keep them in comfort. I really tried best in that direction. But of course, do you think that our children are going to not face the dualities, not face the troubles and pains and pleasures of this world? They are going to go through. When they go to the school, somebody bullies them. When they don't get good marks, they also go through that. When somebody does not accept them in a relationship, somebody comments on them in the school or in their friend circle, they go through that anyways. You cannot avoid that. And he said, I never prepared my child for this. And the second greatest mistake which I did was that I never told him that even I had to undergo similar problems in my own life. He said, I tried to portray in front of my sons, in front of my children, a man which is like a steel man, a man who doesn't have any problems in this world, who doesn't have to face difficulties, etc. He said, actually, in my business life, 3 times I was about to go bankrupt. 3 times I was about to go bankrupt. But I never shared my problems, right? My own story of how I overcome those problems, how I overcame those kind of difficulties in my life to my children. I always shielded them from the reality, right? So imagine 3 times he was about to go bankrupt, but he never told anything to his family. He never told how he overcomes those challenges, and therefore they are not prepared for the real life. I think it is such a critical thing which all of us parents should realize. Of course, his story speaks some other things, but this was the main vital lesson. How many of us, how many of you and me who are watching this channel right now or later who are going to watch, don't we have our own stories to tell to people, to our own children? When we were young, or when we in our own career, in our own married life, in our own situations, in our own relationships in this world, did we not go through some sort of negative emotions anytime? Tell me, is there any person in this world who never faces stress anytime in his life or her life? Tell me, is there any person who never felt guilt in his life or her life? Tell me, is there any person who never felt a loneliness in his or her life? Tell me, any person is there who never became angry in his or her life? Tell me, is there any person who never faced challenges in his or her own life? There's nobody. But are we teaching our story to our children? That yes, it's okay to fail. It's okay to go through these problems. It's all right. It's not a big deal. It's fine. It happens to everyone. You're not abnormal. Like sometimes the children come to us and say, I'm so sad, I am upset, I'm this, and we say, come on, how can you have that emotion? Like many times we kind of judge our children and say, hey, come on, you're so foolish. How can you say, "Arey, ye to choti si baat hai, small thing, why are you reacting, overreacting?" We all know that teenagers generally, when they speak out their emotions, it looks to us adults is like an overreaction. Yes, we all know that. They're unnecessary unhappy, as madam was telling, we are telling her to the daughter to take this drink which is very nutritious and healthy, but she will throw her temper, she will tantrums, she will throw her tantrums, she won't agree, instead she will react. So we all know that teenagers they react, and we feel like, come on, yeah, why these people are doing like that, isn't it? We kind of judge them. How can they have such kind of emotions? But I think, my dear parents, all of us, all of us in our own lives, we have gone through such situations many times. Correct? When we are unable to handle the stress, the difficulty, the problems, the first time when it comes in our life, even we go through certain moods, ups and downs. Even we react in our own lives. Is it not true? Like sometimes the husband comes home because of the boss has really fired him thoroughly heavily, and he comes home and he blasts upon the wife. Right? So that time the wife can say, what kind of why is he doing like that? Why is he overreacting? But the person is overreacting because of pain in the heart. You can't overlook the feelings. You may say that he is doing a mistake. We agree. It's a mistake of the father that he's shouting on the mother. It's the mistake of the teenager child that he's overreacting. We agree to that. Absolutely, we agree to that. But can we also agree that all of us in our life are like this only? Right? All of us in our life at some other point of time, we also do that. We also overreact. We also show certain emotions which are not, which are, may not be correct emotions. From the worldly standards, they may not be those emotions which you should be displaying. So if we are okay to display that, how can we judge our child? Instead of judging our child of why they are throwing these tantrums and why they are actually, speaking this way or that way, why can't we listen to them? And this is what one of the very important things is. So giving the shoe to the child instead of trying to make the roads better is all about this. The solution is not that we can shield them from the problems of this world. The solution is that we have to give them the shoe to walk on the earth, to walk on the pebbles, to walk on the thorns. We have to give them the shoe of resilience, the shoe of the right attitude, the shoe of the right value system, the shoe of the right life skills. And all of us are learning that in our life. Those who have already learned, the parents definitely have learned more than their children, but they're still learning. We have to still learn it. हम perfect तो नहीं है, like madam talked about that, right? That none of the parents need to be perfect and none of them they should expect perfection in their child. But we all go towards better and better journey towards more becoming better and better version of ourselves and helping our children to become better and better version of them. This is parenting. Parenting is not about judging why my child is feeling like this or protecting them, completely from the problems of this world. ये नहीं हो सकता, ये तो impossible है जी, है ना? We'll have to prepare for them, for this world, the challenges of the world. And to do that, what you need to do? You need to never judge the child. If there is an emotion which the child is showing, there is a reason for that emotion. And that needs to be brought out. And we need to help the child understand that in such a situation, what is the best response or a better response to give. But before we teach the child, we have to empathize with the child. We cannot ignore the emotion of the child. And I've seen this many times. Please write on the chat box, on the comment box, if you also observed in your own life, or you observed that you did to your child or somebody else did it to you, that you ignored your emotions or your emotions were judged or ignored by someone else. There is a reason. There is a reason we are facing certain emotion. And unless somebody empathizes and says, yeah, it's understandable. You're facing that emotion. I can very much relate with you. The person never feels accepted. The person never feels I am hurt. The person never feels that love coming from the parent. And this is the greatest trouble. We cannot shield them from all the problems and nor can we neglect all their emotions. नहीं नहीं कुछ भी नहीं है, सब ठीक है, सब ठीक है. These are the two important things I believe that which parents should learn. And going ahead in the next 20 minutes, we are going to learn this through various examples. Let's see now on the slides. This topic is of very critical importance, dear parents. Whatever examples I'm telling you, they can help you to bring out this topic in various ways. So kindly now pay attention on these examples which I'm going to give you. Just before that, I want to tell you that there is a difference of the worldview. See, thinking that everything in this world will go according to my expectations and neither my child and nor myself will face any dualities and happiness ही रहने वाला है, कभी खुशी कभी गम नहीं रहेगा, सिर्फ खुशी रहेगा, is this is what we think na, that is called as hotel worldview. So first of all, the parents need to adopt the right worldview, which is about the school worldview. Actually, what is a school worldview? In very short, I will tell. The school worldview is all about, if there is a problem which has come in my life, I cannot say it will not come, it will surely come. But when the problems come, we have to learn from those problems. When the failures come, we have to learn from those failures, how to behave, what mistakes did I do in the past, and how can I improve to make my situation better in the future. This is the lesson which we have to keep learning with every failure in our life, with every mistake in our life, with every difficulty in our life. This is the right attitude. In fact, I want to tell you something more. So yeah, I want to say that actually the growth happens while facing crisis, difficulties, and hardships. And recently I was reading this beautiful book of The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. It's a long book, but I want to tell you one short sentence from that, something very, very apt for this present situation. He says, please see it on your screen. It's there on your screen now. Please read it carefully. It may be very valuable to you. It says, it is in this whole process of meeting and solving problems that life has meaning. Problems are the cutting edge that distinguishes between success and failure. Problems call forth our courage and wisdom. Indeed, they create our courage and our wisdom. So, how you teach your child to face the problems is the way you are giving him his inner substance in life. We cannot ignore it. It could be a minor thing, it could be a major thing. Now, pandemic has become a major thing, of course. It has become a huge crisis. But even before this, there are so many opportunities to teach children actually. Parents need to see that whenever the child is going through some difficulty, some process of meeting up, a difficulty or challenge, a problem in life, that's a very good time to teach him. It's a very good time to help him develop that inner substance of how to live in this world. Like we all know that unless we have that inner substance to face problems and challenges in this world, success doesn't come. Right? We can see saying that it's through facing the problem we become more stronger. But what is becoming stronger? Some muscle is becoming stronger? No. Our attitude is becoming better. Right? Our value system we are changing. This is called a school worldview. This exactly is called as a school worldview. When we keep learning from the challenges, from our own mistakes, from others' mistakes, from the troubles, and we keep learning on how we become a better version of ourselves. This is a school attitude, school worldview, which we definitely need to have as parents, and we need to transfer it to our children. Yeah. So one more statement from Mr. Scott. Let us see. He says further that it is only because of problems that we grow mentally and spiritually. Quite an interesting thing, right? So it's not that we have to avoid problems or shield our children from problems or show to our children that we have no problems. No, even we as parents have problems, right? And we don't have to show that we don't have them. Rather, we have to show how we are overcoming them, how we are becoming a better version of ourselves. This is what we have to tell to our children and show as an example to our children. So it is through the pain of confronting and resolving problems that we learn. As Benjamin Franklin said, those things that hurt instruct. If something is hurting you, it means that you need to bring a change in your life. If something is hurting you, you are not prepared for that means you need to bring a change in your life to process that event or to adopt to that event, correct? So therefore, actually problems are in one sense the opportunities to grow, and this is what we have to teach to our children. This is what our own example should show to the children. When I was facing problem, this is what I did. So every time you parents face problem, you should know this can become a life lesson for you and a life lesson for your child. Share your story. So kindly write on the comment box. How many of you parents are now interested you have understood that it is very critical that you need to share your story to your child. How you face problems. You also had certain emotions in life, which we can call it as negative emotions. You also went through certain troubles, maybe anger, frustration, depression, loneliness, or whatever. And that means it's okay to face that first. And second, what did you do to overcome it? What did you do to come out of it? You need to tell your story. So How many of you are feeling this very much in your heart? Yeah, I need to tell my story to the child. And this is how I can prepare them. And I need to show my own example. If you are feeling like that, type it on the chat. Or when the video get published, if you're watching this video, tell us on the comments. Do you really feel this? How important it is for the parents to do so? How are you doing it? Tell us your story. You can tell us your story on the comment box also. It can really help many of the parents who are going to watch that later on. Okay, let's go ahead. I am now going to show you. Yes, I'm not going to show you an example, a case study. So I have few case studies to share with you. I hope in the next, it will be an interesting thing of how you as a parent could be teaching your child this resilience. So let's talk about what is real self-confidence and how, how we can develop that. Because resilience is about having the confidence and courage to face the problems, right? So what is real self-confidence? Let's talk about that. So the real self-confidence is not what most of the people think actually. Most of the people think that self-confidence is, you can give me your definition right now if you want to. Think about what is self-confidence for you. How do you define self-confidence? Usually, most people define self-confidence in terms of external success. Oh, he's so confident because he could get this marks, or he could speak in public, or he could do this effort or that effort, or in terms of talents and abilities, right? Or in terms of marks and trophies. Isn't it? This is what most of the times we define confidence as. But I want to tell you, real self-confidence is much different, much different. So let me tell you the story of Wilma Rudolph. So this is, of course, she's called as Black Gazelle and the fastest woman on planet Earth. But in short, her story was that she was born to Blanche Rudolph and premature baby. And at the age of 5, she got polio. Those days polio was very common, right? Polio was very common. So she was having the polio and it affected her left foot, left leg, and she could not walk properly. From the age of 5 to the age of 12, this girl, this lady, she was limping. She had the braces put on. She was not able to walk properly. In fact, many therapies they tried out, but it was becoming very challenging. But when people asked Vilma, what do you want to do when you become bigger, when you grow up? What do you want to become? क्या करना चाहते हो? We ask ना, right? We ask our children, बेटा जब बड़े होगे क्या बनोगे? And we want to hear from them, I.A.S. officer बनूंगा. We want to hear from them, engineer बनूंगा. I will become a prime minister बनूंगा. But Wilma Rudolph had her dream. Of course, this also shows that actually we should allow our own children to have their own dreams. But this girl, when people used to ask her, she would say, I want to run. I want to become a runner. And I want to, run very fast. I want to win the races. This is what her dream was. And when she would talk like that, people would laugh. This girl, she can't even walk. She's limping. Her one foot is in the braces. What, she will run or something. But Wilma and her mother had a different, understanding. They did not give up. Wilma's mother, Blanche, she gave her the foundation of real self-confidence. Can you imagine a child of 5 having a dream of running, but having polio in the foot? How horrible. What kind of emotions can go through this lady, this girl? She could be really depressed. My entire life is, destroyed. I cannot run in my life. But Wilma Rudolph's mother gave her resilience, gave her real self-confidence. And let us see how. This is on my slides. This is going to come up on my slides. Yeah, please look at that. So this is from Wilma Rudolph. She shares her own story. She shares her own story and she says, her mother said, so she says that, I feel I owe God a great deal for what he has done in all of my life. This girl, when she grew up, she not only started running, she gave up her braces, a lot of difficulty, a lot of exercises. She went through all that ordeal which it took, but she started walking, she gave up the brace, and then she started running, and she started coming last in the race, but she never gave up her courage, and she kept on running, and she won the Olympic medal, not just once, twice. So, and today also she is the fastest woman on the planet Earth. But let us hear from her own mouth what she talks. Whom does she give credit to? her confidence, from where was her confidence coming? Let us see. She's saying, I feel I owe God a great deal for what He has done in all my life. When I was about a year old, I contracted polio. The doctors told my mother that I would never walk. For over 3 years, I made trips to the hospital for treatment, and mother would get the same discouraging prediction. But what did her mother do? Let us see. But my mother had great faith on God. She told that with God's help, something could be done. Amazing. She worked with me daily, never giving up hope that I could become normal. Right? She took me and my other siblings to church every Sunday. And what else she did? Every night we had family devotions. She instilled in us the love of God and the importance of giving Him our lives. If it hadn't been for my mother's efforts, I would never have walked, much less competed in the Olympics, and much less won the 2 Olympic games, right? 2 Olympic medals, gold medals. Amazing. So, what do we learn from this? This has a lot to teach us. My dear parents, I think the role of spirituality in growing children is tremendous. By my own practical experience of mentoring many, many thousands and thousands of young students, I have seen that children, those who grow with certain spiritual beliefs, with certain spiritual practices, with certain meditation, learning about spiritual wisdom, these are the people who develop real self confidence. Real self confidence has to come from a source which is infinite, from a place where it will not diminish. If it's only going to remain in the externals of our abilities, talents, and success, then we all know there are going to be dualities. Today we have talent, tomorrow we will not be having. आज sixer मारेंगे somebody in the sports. Today they are making the sixers and making runs, but tomorrow they will not be able to do so. So this is a tottering platform. The real platform is actually coming from this, that God is the source of the real confidence. Having that faith that if I persevere, if I make efforts from my side, I will definitely be helped by God. This is what changed the life of Vilma because of her mother. So you could also help your child a lot. We all need this wisdom, this devotion to God, the higher power. I call God here as higher power. I'm not talking about any specific religion here. I'm talking about spirituality. The higher power, whoever you call it, whomever you call God, the higher power, right? If we connect to His grace, actually our hearts will be filled with confidence and wisdom, right? Having that faith that if I do my best, I will be held by the power beyond me. That is really amazing, which is what Vilma's story is all about. And let us see something more. We have a few more case studies to actually see. Now, this is on the screen. Crisis in Dhruva's life. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm taking this story from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is about the crisis in the young Dhruva's life. So the story goes like this. You see in the screen, on the screen. So there is father of Dhruva. His name was King Uttanapad. And King Uttanapad had 2 wives, Suniti and Suruchi. The Suruchi had son whose name was Uttam. And one day Uttam was sitting on the lap of Maharaj Uttanapad. And Dhruva just came around there and he saw, oh, Uttam is sitting on the lap of the father. And immediately he ran. He thought, I also will sit on another lap of my father. Of course, children sometimes want to do that. They want affection from their parents. And this was nothing very, something very great thing, it was a normal thing. So he just was running and he was saying, I want to sit on the lap of my father. But immediately she was scolded. Come on, stop, you impudent boy. Do you think that you have the right to sit on the lap of your father, who is the king of this earth? And Dhruva was shocked. He said, he could not speak anything. And Suruchi, who was a stepmother, she said, kept on speaking. She said, only the child who has been born from my womb will be able to sit on the lap of the king. You have not born from my womb, so therefore you don't have any right to sit there. And Dhruva was petrified. The incessant tears started coming from his eyes. His heart was burning with hurt emotions. He was crying and wailing, and he didn't know what to do. But he looked at Uttanapad, but Uttanapad did not reply anything, did not respond anything. He had become a hen-pegged husband in the hands of his wife Suruchi. And then Dhruva, at a young age of 5, he went through such an emotional crisis. And therefore he ran from there towards his mother's palace. His mother's name was Suniti. So King Uttanapad had these two wives, Suruchi, from whom he had Uttama, and Sunuti, from whom he had Dhruva. So Dhruva ran towards the other palace where his mother was staying. And before even he could reach his mother, the courtiers, they sent the news to the mother that this is what has happened. He has been insulted very badly and he is crying because of that reason. And just hearing that news, Suniti was also in pain. She was herself crying. It was an emotional pain for her also. Imagine your own child going through such a situation, such an insult by your wife. You see, I mean, the co-wife, right? It was such a painful situation for her also. But she gave a wonderful response to the situation. She could teach Dhruva something meaningful. We can learn from Suniti's response how to convert a crisis into opportunities. And this is what I'm going to teach you in the next slide. What did Suniti do? What could a parent do when a child is going through an emotional crisis? Is very evident in the story of Suniti. Let us see what did she do. So she converted the crisis into an opportunity. How so? Let's see in the slides. So she did these things. So let's learn from Suniti's love first. As Dhruva came running inside, Suniti, she first of all saw that Dhruva is so much in anger. He was burning with anger and the pain in his heart because of the painful words of his stepmother. Right? He was in pain, and immediately Suniti saw that, and Suniti ran and picked up her own son. She tightly hugged her son close to her bosom, and then kept the son in her lap, and she wanted to hear from her son. She gave her full presence, her entire presence to the Dhruva. See, this is one thing the parent has to do. One of the first things to deal with emotional crisis or emotional troubles of the children is give your full presence to the child. Half of the problem of the child will go away if, especially the mother, especially for the children, the mother, if she can give her full presence to the son or the daughter who is in that crisis that time. There, you make yourself available for the child. Don't remain busy in your office and your this or that. After all, what are you doing all this for? You are doing it for your child. So therefore, give your full presence to the child. As did Suniti. She gave her full presence. She stopped everything else. She sat in front of Dhruva. She brought Dhruva in her lap and she started speaking. She started conversing. Yes, tell me more, my dear child. What is it which is in your heart? Why are you in so much of pain? And of course, Dhruva narrated the entire story. What happened in the court, and this happened. Of course, he was sobbing all while. All the while he was sobbing, saying, "Mother, this happened. Mother, my Suruchi is so bad, and this." And Suniti did not judge Dhruva at all. We have to know this. We have to note this. She did not interrupt. She did not give a value judgment. You do not have a right to feel like this. You don't have a right to feel like that. You are not like this. You are not like that. Nothing. She gave her full presence and heard carefully. In fact, she empathized with Dhruva. Right? She totally empathized with Dhruva. She was herself crying. She was herself feeling the pain. She was crying the tears, seeing the pain of Dhruva. Right? Then, but she checked her own emotions. In her own heart also, she was feeling that why Suruchi had to do so. There is problem between the co-wives, right? There is always envy, there is always this competition, etc. But she checked her own emotions. And she knew that Dhruva needs wisdom to soothe his burning heart. He needs the balm of wisdom. And therefore, she also talks some wisdom. So first thing is giving love, unconditional love, without judgment, without interruptions, giving a full presence. So this is what she did. And next, what should she do? Let us see. Later, she also gave wisdom. What did she do? She taught Dhruva, the first thing which she said, my dear Dhruva, don't hate your stepmother. Because there was so much of hatred developing in the heart of Dhruva. Right? She said, don't hate your stepmother. She is also your mother. Right? She is also your mother. And she said, Any pain you are going through, please note that the amount of pain you are going through is always because of your previous mistake or misdeed which you did earlier. You must have done something in the past. You must have given pain to somebody in the past, and that is why this pain is returning to you, my dear child. Look at that. So therefore, at least now, don't plan to give further pain to your stepmother, Suruchi. Don't do that. And then, although Dhruva was still crying, he sort of started hearing, yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so I am going through this pain because I must have given this pain earlier to someone else, right? Then Suniti said further. So what did she do? She said, how Dhruva to see this event. She said that actually, you know why this happened to you? It is because of my mistake. It is although your father Uttanapad accepts me as his wife and cares for me, protects me, but he does not give me the position of her favorite queen. He doesn't give me that position, and therefore I am, your father does not have that kind of a love for me, and therefore you are being treated in this way. Although you deserve to sit on the lap of your father, but because you are born from my womb, because of my problem, you are unable to sit over there. So she kind of takes the entire blame on her. Dhruva stopped crying at that time. She started understanding, okay, what is it? My mother is saying it's her problem. See how much courage it takes to actually take blame on ourselves. And in fact, this is what Dhruva, when he saw that my mother is not saying that I am responsible, this is responsible. She is not blaming this Suruchi. She is not blaming Uttanapad. She is not blaming Dhruva. She is taking the entire blame on her, and she is not depressed out after that. Look at this. She's still very confident. She's saying, yes, it's my mistake. I could not become the favorite queen of your father. It is because of that this discrimination is coming in your life. And that is why you are going through this problem today, that you are not being allowed to sit on the father's lap. And Dhruva keenly heard that my mother, she still is so confident, although she has done some mistake. So then Suniti enlightened him further. Now he was ready to hear. And then he said, my dear Dhruva, actually your stepmother is your friend. She told you that you should worship Lord Vishnu. Actually, what Suruchi told was, Suruchi said that you must worship Lord Vishnu, then you can be born from my womb, and then you can sit on your father's lap. This is what Suruchi, her stepmother, told. So she said, Suniti, her real mother, said that actually your stepmother is your friend. She told her the right advice. She is such a good advice she is giving. She told that, yes, you should be devoted to Lord Vishnu. Yes, be devoted to Lord Vishnu because he can fulfill all your desires. If you are looking towards me and saying that mother, go and request Uttanapad that he can keep me on his lap, I will not be able to do that. I already told you, he doesn't treat me as a favorite queen. He doesn't give me that kind of a status. So therefore, I cannot help you. But don't think that there is nobody who can help you. There is someone who can help you. You know what? Who is he? That is our Supreme Father God, Dhruva, the Lord Vishnu. You go to him. You worship him. And that amount of affection which you want, which you are looking for, you will get only from him. In fact, she said that Lord Vishnu can give you the amount of affection which is equivalent of the affection of millions of mothers like me. I can give you only X amount of affection, but the Supreme Father, Lord Vishnu, can give you million times of that affection. And that, completely took away, the Dhruva's, perspective to the situation. Oh, really? So then he started asking, how can I worship Vishnu? And then she talked about how to meditate on Lord Vishnu, and what is a devotion to Lord Vishnu. And we all know that Dhruva not only overcame that crisis, Dhruva did not just overcome the crisis, but his story is so famous. He became the unrivaled king of this planet Earth, and later he also got the Dhruvaloka. Very famous story in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Puran. I think many of you, our generation people, then we know the story of Dhruva. You see, this is what amazing behavior of a parent. What did you see here? So much of unconditional love, right? But also mixed with wisdom. The wisdom of how to interpret the event, how you should respond in this situation, and also talking about the devotion, where is real self-confidence should come from. There are going to be failures, there are going to be successes. Let's not get confidence through external things. That only when we are happy, when everybody is accepting us, we are very, confident, and we are feeling very nice about ourselves. But even in the challenges, we can feel nice about ourselves. Especially with this devotion to God, it is much more easier. So, my dear parents, if you want to ask me, I want to end this program now. If you want to ask me few things which you can do, is you should teach your children meditation. You should teach your children values. And our Puranas, our Ramayana, our Mahabharata is so much of, replete with so much of this wonderful stories and wisdom, etc. This is what you need to do to help your children come out of this kind of crisis, etc. they go through. And of course, before you do that, you give them your love. Don't judge them. Give them your confidence. Give them your acceptance, as did Suniti. So I think we can speak a lot, but I think we can halt our program at this point of time. I thank all of you who have joined us. And if you have come to this till the end of this program, you have been there with us. I'm very, very thankful to you. And in case at this point of time, if there is any question, we can answer the question, or else we can end this program. Please do let us know, how did you see this program? Did you learn? What did you learn from this program on our chat box? When this video is published, please do let us know, how did you feel about this program? What did you learn? I asked you several questions in between, especially about the importance of teaching life skills and attitudes and values to the children. Please do let us know what are your feelings about that. Yes, thank you so much. Very, very grateful and thankful for your kind presence today. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Mr. Jain, you want to say something, or we can end here?
Yes, sir. We have a quick announcement, sir. Short announcement. I'll be just quickly going through it. So first announcement is, let us know how we can serve you better. And also please take few minutes for filling the feedback form, which we are going to post it in the YouTube link. And so taking your feedback, we'll try to improve. And also don't forget to pre-order the Parenting Teenagers for Wholesome Success by Mr. Amal M. So the pre-order form also we are going to put it in the link. And yes, about the next announcement, it is the our next sessions. So please come back, and you can bring your children as well. So the next webinar session for the students, that is Parivartan webinar series, Bounce Back from Crisis. And next will be the similar session for parenting, that is Santulan webinar series for parents, which is going to come on the July 25th. So please be back with us for this seminar as well. And coming to the books, so we have our books already written by Amal sir, Art of Concentration in the Age of Distractions and Time Management for Students Who Value Their Time. So here we are giving for a concession price for who has attended the webinar. So you can see here 200 rupees is crossed and 149 rupees, and 400 rupees crossed 299 rupees. So if you just fill the form, which we are going to post it in the YouTube link, so and put the coupon code of Arjuna 21, so you will be actually getting the books for this price. And remember, the delivery is also free, unless if you want to purchase it, it will be the cost as you see 200 and 400 in the website. Yes, thank you. We hope to see you for our next session as well. You can bring your children, as well as you can also come for the next Santulan webinar for parents. Thank you so much.
And just before we leave, I also want to tell you something. So we are we are very soon going to release a book on parenting, which is Parenting Teenagers for Wholesome Success. I have been working on this. Actually, this idea came to me around 3 years to 4 years before, that we desperately need this parenting wisdom. I have been writing for the young teenagers. I have been meeting the teenagers, and in the meanwhile, many parents also met me, and we have been mentoring and guiding. So therefore, we thought that this wisdom needs to be given to also to the parents, because there are so many challenges that the parents go through, and they ask us different questions at different times. So I feel that this book is something is of great need. There are many books on such topics of parenting teenagers written by foreign authors in other countries. But unfortunately, although we are sitting in the land of Dharma, the land of wisdom, but the book which can talk about parenting teenagers from Indian context is absolutely missing. I mean, there is probably not even one single book on this topic, right? There may be few, very, very few. You know, I went through a lot of books actually, you know, and in my research for this book. But any credential book, any book which has made its presence in the, you know, the people, there is not even one single one. There may be a few books by Indian authors for parenting children, small kids, is well and fine, very good. But for the teenagers, I didn't see practically anyone. So I feel that in our own humble way, we are trying to present to you the best of the wisdom which is necessary for guiding the teenagers in their journey towards wholesome success. If you wish to actually take a pre-copy, an advanced copy for yourself, you want to book that, so kindly you can kindly fill up a form. So I think the team can actually send that form also, the pre-booking, advanced booking form, which can help us, you know, get your to know your interest, and then we can contact you at the time when we are launching this book. Thank you very much. Please keep coming back to us on this channel. Let us know what did you like in today's program. If you have any suggestions on particular videos which you want us to make upon, please kindly let us know. You want that any webinar can be taken on a particular topic, please do let us know, either from the teenagers perspective or for the parents perspective. We'll be very much happy to hear from you, as well as we'll probably put up a seminar based on your suggestions. Thank you so much. It was a great evening being with you. Thank you.